How do you know if a CPS case is closed? Hi, I'm Peter Sayadzad, attorney with the law office of Brian Fagan. We are going to talk about the basics of how to close a Child Protective Services case. Working with Child Protective Services can be a complex process. There are a lot of things that can go into a CPS case, which means closing out a CPS case can be just as complex as opening one. There are many factors a CPS caseworker will focus on when deciding if a CPS case does need to be closed. The first thing your caseworker looks at is co-parenting. Are you willing to make a commitment to co-parent for the best possible outcome for your child? What have you done to end all forms of abuse that were concerns when the CPS investigation was first opened? This includes all types of abuse allegations, which could potentially be physical, mental, emotional, sexual abuse, and neglect. A CPS caseworker and supervisor will evaluate the steps you took towards seriously intervening for the sake of your children who are being abused and/or neglected. Have you and your co-parent made any changes deemed necessary to ensure your children are safe and free from being harmed? Have these changes been enforced by both parents and are continuing to be enforced and followed? The plan your family has when it comes to dealing with future circumstances involving threats of abuse or neglect against your child will be reviewed by a CPS caseworker. Does your family have a proactive support system who can turn to when there is an emergency or urgent situation that comes up? Having an effective and beneficial game plan will show CPS your intent to prevent any future harm that could possibly occur within your family. CPS will determine whether you and your co-parent have communicated your plans to the support system you have in place. For example, if you plan to have your aunt or uncle act as a caregiver for your children in the event of an emergency, but have not communicated that to your family member, you are not doing what is in the best interest of your child or your family. Most people are extremely willing to play a vital role in the communication to your specific family members, instead of just assuming they will fill that specific role without first being asked. All parents have to communicate well and know how to plan accordingly to provide best for their family. These are two extremely important life skills every parent should know and practice on a consistent basis. Failure to communicate effectively with your co-parent is a red flag to a CPS caseworker and could possibly extend your CPS case from closing in a timely manner. Being aware of the needs of your co-parent is important to CPS when it comes to being ready to close out a case. Just to clarify, CPS is in no way asking you to insert yourself into the lives of your co-parent. You are not expected to concern yourself more with your co-parent than you do with your child, but you are the first line of defense for all future harm that might come to your child if you are not aware of what goes on when your child is solely with your co-parent. A CPS case alone can be a source of harm for any child. Therefore, you must identify all potential harm that might be possible by your co-parent. One of the most important things CPS looks for is whether your child's basic needs are being met. This might seem very obvious, but unfortunately, this form of neglect is much more common than you would think. The three basic needs CPS focuses on are: is your child in a safe environment? Does your child have enough food and clothing necessary to have his or her basic needs met? That would include clean drinking water, at minimum 3 sufficient meals per day, plenty of weather-appropriate clothing and shoes. The last need CPS requires is health insurance, because all single parents have access to Medicaid in the state of Texas. Therefore, not having health insurance for your child is a major issue and red flag in the eyes of the court system. And not providing adequate health resources for your child could be perceived as a form of neglect against your child. No one wants to be accused of neglecting or abusing a child when your child's best interests are your priority. To sum everything up, At a minimum of 90 days, basically 3 months before the conclusion of your case, you will receive a letter stating whether your CPS case will be closed. Once you receive this letter, it is a good indication your case is closed. However, it is highly recommended that you contact a Texas family law attorney to confirm that your case is concluded. I hope you found this video extremely helpful, and we would be happy to assist you throughout your custody journey. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and turn your post notifications on so you do not miss any videos. For more helpful tips, visit our website, www.brianfagan.com.